indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And a roll call for, actually we need a motion, how do we do that? Just need a motion to open the meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Member Heffinger, and second?
Second.
Member Alberto, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting's open. Roll call for the meeting. Member Allen will not be with us tonight. His mom passed today.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
Yeah, I didn't, just found out this afternoon. Member Heffinger?
Present.
Member Iannucci?
Present.
Member College?
Present.
Member Kelly?
Present.
Member Umberto? And Member Boucher, present. And for our professionals, Attorney Cassidy,
Present.
Engineer Higgins,
Present.
and that is it. Okay. All right, so meeting is open, and we have 79 Frederick up first. Come right up to the microphone. Yep, and if you would, just state your your name, and I'm guessing, are you counsel?
So I'm the engineer for the applicant.
Yeah, great. So, and just give us your name and spell your last name.
Sure. Eric Brown, last name, well, first name E-R-I-K, and last name Brown, B-R-O-W-N.
Excellent. So this is new. You guys are in front of us. Do you want to just tell us about the project for 2 minutes?
Yeah, no problem. So basically, Ms. Ortiz and her husband, they have, when they purchased their house several years ago, there was a pool on the property. Over time in recent years, they noticed that the pool started settling. There was a distortion in the patio. It was obvious that the pool was getting out of level. And so they hired a contractor to basically do some repairs. And in order to effect the repairs to the pool, it required tearing up the patio itself, removing, the concrete. It became evident as they did that basically what was happening is some of the soils were eroding away. And so they asked the contractor to basically add a retaining wall in order to shore up the soils and in doing so to provide sort of a stable surface for the pool to rest and then come back over the patio. Well, as a result of sort of that little scope creep, it was brought to their attention that now this becomes a matter that should be brought before the planning board because of the earthwork that's involved and the adjusting of the grades that's necessary to put in the retaining wall. Also, the retaining wall itself would need a building permit. So that's when they received the stop work order and the notice of violation, they realized they needed to rectify this, so they reached out to me. And so what you received in connection with this was sort of a sketch plan, sort of a concept of the work that was entailed. And more recently, we did submit formal plans. Unfortunately, we didn't get them in last month as we should have, but we did submit paper copies as well that may be available to you. And basically, that's the scope of the project. Is the pool itself has been reset already, so it is stable, which is good, so that they don't have any further property damage. The work was stopped regarding the retaining wall, so there's just a couple blocks basically on the ground. But also, as the contractor was preparing to do the earthwork, they did lay down some soil in an area adjacent or at the rear of the property, which is adjacent to a drainage easement, and it ended up actually into the drainage easement. So part of the scope of the work that will be done, and that is shown in the plans, is the restoration of the grades of that drainage swell, which would then allow for that to be restored to its pre-construction conditions. The retaining wall will be set back from the drainage easement so that it won't have any impact on the actual performance of the swale. And they're also, as they're doing this work, of course, they're going to come back, instead of doing concrete this time, they're going to do pavers. So just a owner's choice to come back on the patio area with pavers. There is a shed that's basically going to be either relocated or replaced, and that's shown on the plan. It's in the upper left corner. You can see the location of that shed. It will be compliant with all building permit and zoning requirements, so less than 15 feet, less than 144 square feet. And also the applicant has asked me to also provide a design to sort of allow her to level out the west side of her property, because it slopes down pretty steeply from the house, which makes it a little bit hard. Yeah, thank you. If you go to the page 2 there, it makes it a little hard to use the yard area. So along, if you look at the second image there, the second plan, yeah, along the left side or the west side of the property, they asked if they could sort of level that out. So I did put a small retaining wall there, also compliant with all setback requirements, zoning, building permit requirements, to allow them to be able to sort of utilize that area for just recreation. It's still going to remain grass. So that's the main scope. Along the east side, you do see here just a little extension of the driveway area. So it allows them to be able to pull vehicles all the way in and utilize the property more fully. But those are the improvements that are associated with the proposed scope.
Okay. I'm going to ask our engineer, Dave Higgins, to go through his comments.
Okay. So we received, as Mr. Brown just indicated, we had received initially, it was essentially a sketch. We had not until tonight, I guess, received the full site plan that was prepared. So I'm presuming that when we do review that, many of the comments that we had here would be addressed. I don't know if you want to go through them one at a time. We can do that if you'd like. Although, like I said, many of them are going to be probably addressed from the submission that was just made.
Give us the most significant ones then, Dave.
Presumably that I would say that the top and the bottom elevations of the retaining walls should be provided at regular intervals along the length of the retaining wall. Let's see, Monroe Code 200-26.5G requires that all retaining walls 3 feet in height or greater, having a driveway, structure, or slope of 1/3 or higher located above it, shall be designed by a licensed engineer, shall be approved by the building department. So as part of your building department review, you would actually have to have signed and sealed drawings specifically for the retaining walls with all pertinent calculations provided. Plan should be signed and sealed by a licensed land surveyor or provide a signed and sealed survey of the property. Okay.
On that comment, so the plans as you see them are an existing conditions drawing. It's based off of an 07 survey that they had, and obviously I'm signing my plans. In addition to that, do we need to have a current signed and sealed survey specifically for this project?
So, well, I would say, do you have a copy of that survey from 2007?
Yes.
And it was signed and sealed?
Yes.
Okay. And does it reflect, the conditions that are on that survey reflect the conditions that are there today?
Yes, with the exception of the work that was done, outside of
The
code.
pool?
The pool is there,
Okay.
but the retaining wall, work is not there.
Which is what you were seeking the approval for?
Exactly.
Okay. I would say it's probably fine. Send us a copy of the survey map, and we'll take a look at it, and that may be sufficient. And then just reference the survey on the site plan.
Done. Yeah.
We had indicated, and I certainly defer to Elizabeth on this, but our opinion is it'd probably be a type 2 action under secret. The wood deck that was shown on the existing plan, it's not on the proposed. Is the deck being removed, or is that above the patio?
It's above the patio. It's elevated. The stairs were temporarily removed in order to do the concrete
Okay,
work.
but that's to remain. So I would say, and maybe the new site plan does clarify that.
Yep.
Okay. Show the erosion and sediment control measures again.
Yes. Yeah, we added some compost filter sock around the perimeter. Yeah.
Okay. And then the last comment that I had on there was about the setback line for the shed. So the plan should include a setback line for the shed to the nearest property line and should list the proposed shed's height. So the setback to the nearest property line currently measures about 7 feet. Monroe Code 200-26.2M requires that accessory structures less than 144 square feet and less than 15 feet tall have a required setback of 5 feet, while accessory structures less than 144 square feet and greater than 15 feet tall have a required setback of 10 feet.
Yep.
It's going to tie into.
We'll be below the 15 and 144.
Okay, that's it.
Okay, and Elizabeth, you want to go through your comments?
Just the applicant to verify the distance between the property and the town of Monroe border to determine if referral pursuant to GML 239. I looked at the tax map. It's within about 10 feet. So if you could verify you're right near that town line, that triggers 239 review.
Yeah,
You might.
It's about 570 feet. But yeah, we'll label it on the
Certify that to
plan.
me and we'll be fine.
Yep, we'll label it on the
A public
plan.
hearing is not required for the site plan review, but a public hearing may be held in the discretion of the planning board. The applicant to provide a short form environmental assessment form I do believe it is a type 2, but we should have that short form on file to confirm that it is a type 2.
Could I ask a question on that?
Sure.
So in the seeker handbook, basically it says if an action specifically falls under one of the criteria, which this one does, 617 5C12, that it's not a,
Statutes and everything.
it's okay. That basically providing an EAF is not required. Sure.
You're one of the first engineers that actually like spouted off sections, so
Tried to do my homework.
yeah, it's all good. I love it.
Yeah, so this action is 617.5 C12, which is the same one that Mr.
Higgins.
Higgins had referred to, I think, in his letter.
And
Yeah.
of course, the internet's being slow. Okay, so it's 12, you said, C12.
Mm-hmm.
It's construction, expansion, or replacement of minor accessory pertinent residential structures, including garages, carports, patios, decks, swimming pools, tennis courts, satellite dishes, fences, barns, storage sheds, or other buildings, not changing the land use or density. He's certainly there, so if the board has no issue there, I can mark that comment satisfied.
Yep.
Thank you.
We talked about the survey already, engineer to advise of the impacts of the retaining wall on the flow and function of the existing easement. Now this is a technicality in our code. I do have your notice of violation and stop work order, which effectively lays out what you need to do. Normally our building department issues what's called a land use determination in advance of a site plan approval. Just Terry, if you could shoot Jim an email and confirm that his
I asked him about that and he gave me the,
land use, we have,
he gave me the stop work and
so just a quick email from him that that's in lieu of for the file, please. And that's fine. So those are my comments.
Okay. So anything from the board members? Sounds like, Dave, you got another plan to review.
Yep. And here's, my email's on there, so if you want to email me the survey map, I'll
The biggest impact, the biggest issue is just to make sure that what's being proposed to be done doesn't adversely affect the existing drainage easement, which was created as part of the subdivision for the surrounding area.
Which currently it is, right?
Right, it needs to be
Currently
cleared out
it's
again.
affecting it.
Well, there is, yes, there's, but we just need to make sure.
Yep.
So that's the biggest issue.
Yeah. And the 239, you're gonna get a measurement.
Yeah, we'll put a measurement on the plan to just show, or if it's
It was close. I was counting tax lots and I was like, oh, he's right there.
Yeah, would it suffice to send that, how would you like me to address that, in a letter?
Just do so if there are any comments that are not addressed in the plan set you've just submitted, I would suggest a letter addressing, with identifying the comment, whether it's Mr. Higgins' comment,
Yeah.
the number, the comment, the response, and then, same thing with my comments, attorney comment number 3, it's 517 feet.
Perfect.
Okay, a simple letter would suffice.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay, I think that's it.
All right, thank you all very much.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate your time.
Evening.
All right, next up is 581 Route 17M. Do you mind just at the microphone, just tell us who you are, spell your last name, and then your project engineer?
Yes, Avi Weinberg, Weinberg Lim Engineering. Need my last name, Weinberg.
Thank you.
All right, this project, first of all, good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, town consultants. We were here back in April to present this project for the first time. I'll just give a little bit of a recap. You've got 2 existing retail buildings. retail on the first floor, office on the second floor. The applicant seeks to construct a two-story office building in the rear of the property. This site is entirely paved over, very underutilized, and we've been working to come up with a site plan, that would fit this building. Last time we were here, one of the main issues that came up was parking. The town code has these trip generation rates that you guys require. The issue is that what you have is retail and office. Retail, the peak rate is on the weekends. Office, the peak rate is on the weekdays. And it explicitly says in the code that when you have two non-overlapping peak uses, the planning board can determine what the parking rate should be. So we've got our list of comments from other consult from, the town engineer about some stuff that need to be addressed, curbs, ADA ramps, accessibility and all that. The first thing I want from the planning board, when I mentioned this to you guys last time, you said, go ahead, do your studies, come back to us, propose a parking rate. We went ahead, we brought on Collier's Engineering and Design. They prepared a parking study. And what they come out with is they have a trip generation rate for retail of 3.13 spaces per square foot. I think it's per 1,000 square feet, sorry. And office of 1.95. Based on that, we would need a total of 73 spaces. If you go on the town code, I think the number was 100, but then again, it explicitly mentions that, the planning board could determine when you have these non-overlapping uses. So what we're here for tonight is to establish a parking rate, and then also if, we could begin the secret process and have you guys, I don't know if you declared lead agency last time, but begin the process. But once we have this parking rate established that we could all agree on, then we could go ahead and meet all the other requirements for the site.
Okay. Dave, do you want to give your comments there?
Sure. Here's the comment letter. Did you want to go through all of them? Yes?
Yeah, I would think so.
Okay. All right. Number one, the table of bulk requirements should be revised as follows. A, the values listed for the existing and proposed minimum lot area are actually the building area. The lot area as defined under 200-5 of the Village of Monroe Code as the total horizontal area included within the lot lines as adjusted by 200-20.1. Since this project contains no constrained lands, the existing and proposed minimum lot area should be listed as 70,922.56.
That was an oversight, we'll adjust that, yes.
B, due to the mixed use nature of the site, the bulk requirements listed should be the most stringent requirement of any of the uses. Due to this, the required minimum lot width should be revised from 50 to 150 feet in order to reflect the required lot width of drive-through and drive-up establishments. The minimum lot width will still be met with this revision. C, that the existing and proposed maximum building height are incorrectly listed as 35 feet. Per the response letter from Weinberg Lim Engineering dated October 10th, 2024, the existing building height should be listed as 23 feet and the proposed building height should be listed as 30 feet. D, the unit under minimum lot width should be revised from square feet to feet. And number two, drive-through and drive-up establishment should be added to the listed uses above the bulk table and in the site notes. Number three, section 200-46A of the Village Code requires the use of the latest edition of ITE parking generation rates. Accordingly, the report provided by Collier's engineers correctly calculates the total parking required for the existing and proposed uses to be 73 parking spaces, which is what you were just referring to. The parking generation rates used, 3.13 for retail and 1.95 for office, should be reflected on the site plan. Okay. Number four, the proposed parking count should be revised. Along the north side of the proposed office building, there was a count of 10 parking spaces shown, while only 9 spaces are present at that location. So you have the number 10, but there's actually, if you count them up, there's only 9. This should also be corrected in the parking calculations, and the total parking count shown on the plans over the existing parking area still show the parking count from the last revision. Number 5, many of the 19 parking spaces shown along the northern side of the parking lot are greater than 9 feet wide. We suggest restriping the area to provide 9-foot wide spaces and increasing the maneuvering area at the drive-through bypass lane.
Talking about these existing spaces.
Yes,
Yeah,
but I think some of them are 11 feet, 12 feet wide.
Big. We just left it as is,
Right.
we will, yeah.
Okay, but yeah, what we were saying is if they get restriped and made to be 9 feet, you'd actually improve the width of that bypass area.
Yeah, 100%.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Number 6, the proposed no parking sign for the accessible parking access aisle should be moved to not block the accessible route to the building. Number 7, a 5-foot wide concrete sidewalk with a concrete curb appear to be shown around the proposed building. As indicated by the presence of a curb, the sidewalk will not be level with the parking lot. The required ADA compliant curb ramps should be shown in front of the accessible parking access aisles, and any other proposed curb ramps should be shown as well. Number 8, in the turning analysis for both the Schmiel mid-mount 100-foot tower and the pumper truck, one of the vehicle's tire paths is shown to cross over the corner of the sidewalk at the southwest corner of the proposed building. Either the turning analysis should be reattempted to prevent this, the site plan should be revised to allow adequate space for the truck, or mountable curb should be used. It is also recommended that a turning analysis for garbage collection be provided. Okay. Number 9, full lighting plan should be provided with Isolux diagram and fixture details. Number 10, plan should be provided to emergency service for review and comment. Has that been sent yet? I think that comment's been on there for a while, but I don't know if
Did we send it to?
it's all, okay, it hasn't been sent yet? Okay,
Because I don't
We
think
should send that.
I don't think I had reached out to you that I wanted to do that,
okay,
but I don't think it was ever mentioned before.
this is only the second time on, so I.
okay. All right, number 11, door locations should be shown for all buildings. Number 12, provide hatch or shading to existing concrete walkways that will remain to clarify. So I think there were some sections that we were unsure whether they were staying or going. And number 13, at the southeast corner of the proposed building, the travel lane extends to the back of the existing building without any transition. The transition should be provided for the access lane around the corner of the existing building. So you know which area I'm talking about? So it would be, yep, if you look at the lane right there, if you extend that through, it hits the back of the building. Have the curb come back in or something. You don't want somebody traveling along the curb edge and clip the building. Yeah. And
If I could just,
was it? It's the last comment.
yeah, so again, so most of these comments are, I guess, clerical. We will definitely address them. In regards to the parking spaces and the turning analysis and all that, like I said, the first thing we want to do is get the parking rate. That'll give us more room to adjust and, meet all the requirements.
Yeah, and I think, Elizabeth, for the parking, there's a couple of codes that interact with landscaping, and I think there's a 10% of parking.
So in addition to the parking requirements, and we have a couple of these applications before the board right now with redevelopments of existing sites, expansions, additions. Just be aware, and then I'll go through my comments, that in addition to the parking count that's in our code, we also have landscaping requirements set forth in our parking restrictions for screening, so tree screening.
Right, to adjoining properties.
And also landscaping within the parking lot itself, and those are set forth in 245J and 244J. So we have to look at the totality of that rather than just the number of, and I'm pulling the parking provisions for you as we speak.
While she's pulling that, can I just ask a question about the, so what is it, a total of 15,000 roughly 15,000 square feet for the?
14,340.
Okay.
Yes.
370.
Sorry, 14,370.
And the access to that addition, will it be from the pre-existing building, or you can only get access it from the back side there?
I think there might be a hallway. I don't know if the architecturals are fully developed at this point, but primarily it will be a standalone building with access from the rear.
So that standalone building really only has, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, like maybe 6 parking spots in front of it. Otherwise, you're parking to the right and walking all the way around. Not 2 handicap, right? Yeah, right. So,
Top of that table.
so 7, yeah.
I don't think that they're waiving the parking.
At the rear of the property, you've also got some parking spots on the side. We might lose one or two there when we reconfigure, but that is, just the way this site is laid out.
We
all
reviewed the
this is in the
calculations
front.
Colliers provided, had no issues.
So if you lose one or two there, where does that leave you on the number?
So right now, we actually propose that the number is 80 spaces, and we're only required 73 per
Came out to
this,
73.
this parking study. We would only need 73,
Right,
so
the
we still
IT.
have more. Yeah, we still put in a little bit more, but like I said, that'll, if we were to get that number, we would, go ahead and meet these other requirements.
So once those 7 or 9, I guess we'll call them, including the handicap, are filled toward the rear of the proposed addition, you have to park in the front and walk along
Yeah,
where the drive-through pharmacy is, right?
yeah.
So you're walking through the pharmacy lane.
We could also we could do it on the rear also. We could,
For an existing parking lot.
we could run a sidewalk along there.
Uh-huh.
It's like,
Yeah, that'd be my concern is, walking through that
a lot of this is.
drive-through lane, literally. Cause that's a pretty good sized building for only 7, or I guess I'll say 9 spots, right? So they're gonna be parking in the front of that and walking.
Right.
I have to
And is there a lighting plan on there too? I don't.
Not yet.
Okay.
We'll
I
get
would
there.
say
We didn't think we were getting final approval tonight. We wanted to establish.
I know it's pretty dark there as well.
So Elizabeth, do you have that, what you were looking for?
Yes, so in, section 200-46, which is our parking standards number required, this is section A. Accessory off-street parking spaces, either outdoors or enclosed, shall be provided according to the standards cited in the most recent edition of the Institute of Transportation, the ITE, the Institution of Transportation Engineers publication, parking generation. It says see chart 2 below. Obviously, that was a chart that's codified. That chart gets updated probably more frequently than our code, or the magical words, or as determined by the planning board upon consideration of all factors entering into the parking demands of each and every use proposed, whichever is less. I.e. you have some discretion and flexibility in your decision. So clearly, they presented a report. I defer to the engineer whether that report is sufficient, but you do have some flexibility. I have certainly seen in my day applications in various municipalities where they need 100 parking spaces, and you know darn well they're not using 100 parking spaces, and we either land bank them or do something else. So that's a discretionary factor for you based on the language of the code.
Yeah, and when they land bank them, do they tear up the concrete if it's down?
Depending, so typically land banking is done when the concrete doesn't exist.
Right.
We still have the discussion about appropriate landscaping. The code was amended in 2017 and implemented quite a number of this. Doesn't have a stick of green
Right.
anywhere on it. Sorry.
It didn't.
So it didn't, but you're touching it, and as soon as you touch it, you know you have to bring it up to code. So what's appropriate? So that's a consideration for the board. Particularly, I think you said Colliers was suggesting 73 spaces.
So yeah, we had reviewed the report that was provided by Colliers Engineers, and they went through the ITE generation rates, and we checked that and agreed with the numbers they came up with, and the total resultant was 73 parking spaces.
So there's clearly room to lose a spot or two. I
Right, we had
see
landscaping.
for landscaping, things like the triangle, the square there at the corner of the north and on 17.
Oh,
Put what you can there,
Aren't there still limos? Are the limos still all parked there though? Or aren't they all kind of already occupied, every one of those spots?
yeah, but I think that lease is up, that agreement is up soon. I don't remember, but I'm pretty sure that agreement is
That
up
would
soon.
take away every bit of 7 to 9.
So I think what the applicant is requesting tonight is that we're okay with the Colliers recommendation so that they can clean up the rest of the site, because that,
Yeah, and I agree with the
have
idea.
a question on the parking that you're proposing near the new building. That is, these parking spots are behind the existing building. How are they going to back up? They are going to have no view of the people coming through the drive-through. You see, the parking spot is shorter than the actual building. They're going to be, and that's a handicap. They're going to be totally blind, pulling out into an active driveway.
First of all, we're not talking about a drive-through that has, a long line of cars behind it, but.
It's still
like every-
blind nonetheless.
At a
I don't know
certain
how they're
point-
going to pull
but
out of
At a
that.
certain point, when does the drive-through end? I mean, the drive-through doesn't wrap all the way around. It's just,
How do they get out of the drive-through? They have to go all the way around the building?
So right now, if you look here, you can see the drive-through ends here, and they go straight through the same parking.
Okay,
So these people are technically also still backing into the drive-through. If anything, it's worse the way it is now. You've got the drive-through here, these people are coming around the bend, you've got someone pulling their car out, and they can't see them. So right now, they could actually, chances are there's a car that's stopped, so they have a minute, and these people are backing out.
That building's not there now, though, is it?
No, there's nothing,
The drive-through?
No, the drive-through, the building is what?
The building's not, but if you take a look the way this is striped now, the existing striping, I know it's faint, it's hard to see.
Okay.
Right, so you see right now, after the drive-through, you've got this turn.
Yeah.
Into parking, you've got a bunch of parking spots on both sides here. So what you have is you've got a car that's stopped over here. Let's say you've got someone parked here who's pulling out. They don't see this guy's coming around the bend, and he's going through. What you have now is, they have a minute, because as they're pulling out, they will see that someone's stopped there. So they have an extra second, versus here, they've already started accelerating. They're going around the bend, that person can't see, and that person's backing out. So if anything, it would be an improvement to the existing conditions
there's
now.
parking behind that building right now?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, and, all right, and it goes, according to this, it only goes, you've got a good 18 feet to the corner. It looks like your last parking spot there, you've got a good 18 feet to the corner.
Say from here to the,
From your corner where you drive through, where your faint lines, your first diagonal line is 18 feet from that corner, according to your plans.
which one?
The first diagonal line of your existing parking.
This spot.
All right, you see your
Get rid of
corner
that
there?
spot.
Now, what I'm reading is your first diagonal line is about 18 feet down from the corner.
A little further.
Do you want me to show you that? Do you want, here,
It's further than 18.
let me show you. This is what I'm seeing, and I may be interpreting wrong.
It's only a few
I
feet
may-
off the building.
Huh?
It's only a few feet off the building.
Here's-
Yeah, so you know, if you're sitting here,
You can't see.
you can't see if anybody's here.
So if you're
Here,
parked right there and
see,
you're
I still
backing
have a
out,
question.
this is a building.
The further you are here, the better.
Yeah.
And they're gonna,
How many?
the potential is
Your
there,
number was
unless there's
wrong.
some kind of mirror that
Yeah,
can be put up,
consistency
you know what I mean?
Okay, but this is a long ways.
Right, it's not a good spot, you know, unless you move this,
Seven.
like that, not the one of your spots, I'm gonna give them an extra spot, to make that landscape. You move
Yeah, that's
this.
fine, that's what I'm saying, so it goes back to what we said before.
Is this the doorway? I'm not sure what the doorway is.
Yeah, that's what people are walking through that drive-through.
So you wanted her to do it, but that is the idea, that when we could determine the parking rate, we would that would
push this.
Okay, but you understand,
I understand.
these drivers, I have problems.
I understand.
Okay, Mr. Weinberg, just on that, on what Barbara was just talking about, so looking at that, because we were just having the same conversation here. That's gonna come, so that's, what is it, 18 plus, whatever.
Right, so, as I said, it would make sense to get rid of these two spaces, I understand that.
Right, so where's the door that people, so where are those handicapped spaces, where would they have to walk to, get to, wheel to get into
We
the
don't have
building?
final architectural plans, but I will make sure we put them specifically right next to the door. So we will shift them, if we have to put them
Right,
here.
so that could be something you use, if we give you the spots, that could be
Yeah.
something used for landscaping.
100%, that'll be one of the landscaped areas. Keep in mind too, as he mentioned, chances are if we were to actually stripe this out, there's probably more spaces here than 19.
Right.
All that, like, yeah, it's the same idea, we get the minimum number of parking spaces. We want to clean this up as much as possible and give as much green space as we can.
Yeah, so, I mean, does the board have a problem with using the ITE numbers that are there? Dave reviewed them as well, and feels that it's appropriate. And then we can require, because according to our code, 10% of the lot should be landscaped,
10% of the parking.
of the parking, yeah.
Yes.
Should be landscaped. So we give up the spots, bring it down to the ITE number and get the landscaping put in on the rest. And we can come back and see what their architectural plan looks like.
Okay. Sounds good to me.
Mr. Chair, I do have a couple of comments
Yeah,
if I may.
yep,
The application is subject to, and if some of these I may have repeated back in March, but given the separation of time, I'm just gonna repeat all of them. Application is subject to 239 review, due to its proximity to Route 17M. It is subject to a public hearing. Application materials to be updated and resubmitted to identify the property owner. The application materials all list the individual They do disclose the LLC and the individual, but it should all reflect, I'd like it to match the land record, so it should all reflect. So a corrected, redated application, please, reflecting the current LLC owner, please. Seeker applicant submitted a short form environmental assessment form dated March 8th, 2024. The proposed action is an unlisted action pursuant to seeker. Interested involved agencies, I have here, and New York State DOT, I don't think they need a curb cut, but that was being overkill. New York State DEC wetlands, I'll explain in a minute, and SHPO. Applicant to address no answer to question 9. Applicant to address yes answer to question 12A, referral to SHPO is recommended. Applicant to address yes answer to question 13A. We just talked about parking, so I'll skip over that. I do note that your plan set indicate 96, while your comment letter indicates 87. Please correct for consistency. Dave also mentioned the correction to the bulk table. Wetland stream, a short environmental assessment form, identify presence of water courses on both and both on and in the vicinity of the project site. Applicant to address impacts of the proposed project on said water courses. Hudson Valley Natural Resource Mapper indicates potential wetlands on site. Recommend the study confirming the location of wetlands. If there are any, presence of wetlands may require deductions pursuant to 200-20.1. Site maneuverability, Dave already touched upon that. Again, I also saw that the turning radius appeared to jump the curb in the southwest corner of the proposed addition. Lot coverage, the initial plan does not identify any landscaping or trees anywhere on site. The applicant has referred to the requirements of 200-32, including but not limited to F1, which requires trees to be planted around the perimeter of the parking area where there are more than 5 vehicles. Parking lot shall devote 10% of the total required parking areas to landscape. See 200-45J, see also 244J. The application is subject to architectural review pursuant to 200-73 of the Village Code. Applicant to address any changes to signage. Applicant indicates a lighting plan and stormwater plan will be submitted. Such plans were not included in this submission, so I just note that we don't have them and they have not.
So regarding the lighting, we will get that to you. Stormwater plan, we're actually talking about a reduction in impervious area. So, David, if I'm correct, that should.
Yeah, I mean, the whole site's paved right now.
Right,
Pretty
so
much
if we're
everything in
talking
the
about
back.
landscaping, that's a reduction in impervious area.
That's fine, it just
Yeah.
your letter said stormwater plan.
Right, okay.
So when I say see a reference to a document and the document wasn't there.
And again, if I could just ask you about comment 10, about the wetlands. So obviously the EAF marked it as such, even though again, the whole site is paved, you're just saying we should get a determination that
Yeah,
there is no.
you have to
wetlands
show
expert.
me that they're not wetlands on that site, because we've had a bunch of projects in that area and I know we're close. So I know there's a bunch of stuff in there.
You're
So,
saying recommend just have the guy go out there and he determine.
because if I go into the Hudson Valley Resource Mapper, pretty much that entire corridor of 17M is in the check zone. So that's why it triggers a yes answer on the SEAF. So you can't just give me a yes, they may be there. If you give me a yes, you gotta show me that they're either not there or they're not gonna be impacted by the project. But there's a lot of water through that whole area, so we just.
And you're gonna recalculate that turning radius where the building is?
Absolutely, yeah, that was one of the main
So
things.
then we won't send it yet to the fire.
No,
So
no,
I-
I'd rather
Yep.
get this parking determination, clean it up, if I can get, make some more area here, but yeah.
So I think, at this point, based on these comments, the applicant's been given the general blessing to go ahead at the lower parking number, make the corrections to the short form environmental assessment form, make that as part of your next submission. At our next submission, we should be in a place to refer to 239 emergency agencies and start our seeker process. Okay?
Any other questions from the board?
So you say that as far as moving, you can't move the building for the turning radius for the fire?
Well, he's,
He's either
yeah,
gotta move, shimmy the building or figure out how to strike the lane so that a fire truck can
Yeah.
make, because right now a fire truck is jumping the curb.
You almost solve two problems with that backing into the one-way lane there and the fire department truck. If you take that building and put it all the way to the other end,
You wanna know what's funny
parking on
about that?
on the bottom side.
So David and I had a conversation about
Yeah.
this, and we reached out to the building inspector, and he determined Right now, we are boxed in because of zoning. And we wanted to make a determination. We actually spoke to the building inspector. I sent them an email that perhaps, I don't know if it was, I don't think not to waive it, because you can't do that. But
Well,
there
it was, I think, a determination as to whether it
Code
was
is
the
coming.
sum of the
sum of
side
the
yards
two side
or
yards, right.
each needed to be 50 feet, I think it was, is what
Yes.
they had on there.
Oh, I see.
Because I think it says 50, 80 in the code.
Yeah, it was like 50-80 was weird. You could have determined it where you could shift it to be 40-40. There was some opening, which would have, I think, been a better plan.
Right.
But the building inspector did not go along with that, so.
Emergency referral, I'm just making my notes.
Yeah, like I said, the idea is we understand that, and then we don't, it's beneficial, more landscaping, parking's not needed, and we go ahead and do all that.
Yep.
The fire department still has to take a look at this.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, but not till it's ready for
I'd
them
say
to look at.
clean this up,
Right.
Oh, of course,
next meeting,
without a doubt.
Don't have to do them twice, you know what I mean?
next submission, assuming that these comments are addressed,
Yep.
we would then be in a position, so I have in my notes here, assuming the comments are addressed, we'd be in a position, to refer for 239, emergency referrals, and declare lead agency or attempt to be lead agency. Okay?
Yep.
As far as the landscaping plan, the front of this, the very front of it along 17, is really nothing to look at. And as far as 10% of the existing parking lot that's there,
They don't have a lot of land there.
they need a lot of work.
They don't have a lot, their property line is right on the close parking spots.
Right, and also, we've got to make sure, most importantly, is that people can see. So we'll do what we can, but the main thing is that the drivers going in and out can also
You have to bring it up to code.
I see a nice, beautiful traffic island in the northeast corner of the site, so.
Yeah. And like, you know, for example, we don't want to touch pavement. We take something like this, we rip it out instead of stripe it.
Yeah.
Right, this little striped area.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Is that it?
And don't forget the updated application, please.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll go
Okay.
through everything.
All right, Avi, I think you're good. Till next time.
So, I mean, you're not gonna vote on the park. Do you guys have to do an official vote for the parking rate?
We're giving you what I call a warm and fuzzy.
Yeah,
So
kinda
you're
like a
getting a
nod.
warm and fuzzy that the parking is,
Perfect.
Suppose it comes back with what we're talking about here.
Right.
They're gonna be using the lower rate of 1.95?
the lower rate, unless you tell me that you drive past that every day and the parking lot's chock-a-block full.
It is not,
If it's, yeah, that's the point.
yeah.
So
So we're gonna use the lower rate.
we're gonna use the lower
Yeah.
rate,
Fine.
and, but with the understanding that
have
the
your
lower rate,
guidance.
they have room now with a lower rate
Do the landscaping.
to take out some of that macadam and
You're correct.
put in
Yep.
asphalt, not asphalt, put in landscaping.
You're
The
correct.
opposite of
You're correct
asphalt.
again.
Yep.
Thank you so much. Have a
Thank
great
you.
night.
Okay, next up, 573 Route 17M.
Did you get that one? That one's yours.
Other office building.
Did you have mine? Did I give you?
I actually did. I had
You put it back down. Here you go.
73 is next.
How are you?
Hi, Joel. Yeah, just come do the,
Hello. Good evening, Joel Mann, Bracheman Associates, on behalf of the applicant.
A little louder if you can.
Yeah, I think that doesn't work.
it should be on, it is
Yeah,
on.
it is on? Can you hear me?
It's really only for the.
It's just for the, yeah.
for the-
that
Oh,
should-
it's for
it-
the-
it
okay, I
should-
see.
No, it should be everything.
Okay,
that's-
then I will talk louder.
Yeah, we can hear
No
you.
problem. So, Joel Mann, on behalf of the applicant, 573 Route 17M. The proposal to build a new office building, two-story office building on that lot, probably the next the neighbor to the previous application. So we proposed the concept of the building, matching up all the bulk table requirements with the parking needs and the setbacks. I don't think there's much explanation to give on that. We got the comment letters from the consultants, And actually, I don't think we need to waste anyone's time to read it through everything, because I can generally say what the comments are and how we will address it. So one of the things is we need to check for wetlands in the back. There is DEC wetlands in the back. We did a wetland delineation, but on the property, but we didn't do it after the property. So we'll check on that. We'll determine if that's DEC wetlands. It seems to be in the maps DEC wetlands. We'll probably have to revise the concept and stay away the 100 feet buffer. I'm not sure if I'll go for DEC buffer permit, if I will need maybe a little bit, but as of now, I believe I can manage, and we'll revise a little bit the building, we'll make it a little bit smaller, and we can live with that. We need to get DOT permits for the driveway entrance, like to reconfigure the driveway entrance. We did it conceptually, we follow the DOT guidelines, like the radius and how it should be positioned away from the property line. Traffic, we will understand, I got that comment. We'll do a traffic study, we'll get a traffic consultant on board for this project. I believe that the board will determine that. Landscaping, that's all that we will need to take care, and we will do a comprehensive submission at the next submission. So with that, I think we'll give it to the board, the consultants, if there's anything specific that you feel that you want me to address, and or any concerns.
This building is going to be behind.
In front of.
No, it's the new building.
They're gonna demolish the
We're
building.
gonna demolish.
They're gonna demolish the pet.
Yes.
Yes.
lounge?
Yes. Correct.
How big is the existing structure there now?
I'm not sure.
The only question, Dave, I'd like you to address, at least for me, might be one more, but is the 30-foot width, the parking, how does that all gonna work there?
What do you mean, the 30-foot width for parking? Which,
Well, it includes the parking, the
you
building.
mean behind the building?
Yes.
So they have parallel parking around the back? That's the section on
Yeah.
the one side where there's
Jeff and I
spaces.
talked about it, because normally, we hear, and I don't know, this is a fire code issue, maybe a Jim question. I recall that the number 26 sticks in my head.
Yes. So we
But
don't
if
need.
you have parallel parking, if you have 30 feet plus a 9-foot parallel parking space, you don't got 20, you
Those
don't,
would be 10 feet.
No,
usually.
I don't need to have it around the building. It's just one side aligned with the building. You need to have the 26 feet of the fire
I
apparatus
I
access,
raise it
but
because it comes up
Yep.
all that, I also know,
So it's only one side of the building? you
one
need the
side of the
26 feet?
building, it's basically the side where the fire department is going to position. So for example, I can't say it should be in the front because this is a very narrow building, so it will definitely be at the side, but one side is enough for that, as long as the fire department can then pass through and go around the building, but
Right.
they position it, everything at one side of the building. That's a fire code.
They also, I believe, need to be able to get a fire hose to all points of the building, no more than 150 feet, correct?
Right.
So that would mean that you'd have to be, I'm not sure, what's the total length of the building?
I think we have a dimension here. No. That is, I would say about 250, 300 feet, let's say.
So how would they get, if they're not accessible around that side of the building, you can only get to the front and to the area in the back, presumably, right?
No, they can get all the way along that side of the building.
yeah,
Right,
but
but-
they have to be able to get to the back,
Provide a-
150 feet.
The maximum lay length for the hose is 150 feet.
Just check with Jim on the fire
Yeah,
access.
and didn't we have one of the comments to be referred to emergency services as well?
Yeah, I'm sure we would do it anyway, but yes,
I didn't see it, but yeah, okay, that's.
How wide is this building?
30 feet.
30 feet,
Yeah.
it's a hallway and offices.
30 feet by what, 300?
300.
Yeah, it's a long, it's a hallway.
Could you bring up the, like the Google Maps just to see the piece of property?
Basically, I positioned, you can see I did the concept, I positioned like 3 access points to the building, one in the center, that should be the main, then I need to have 2 at the 2 end points of the building, so.
For access.
For access, for exit, fire exit and
Right.
emergency.
And what
fire
about the sides of the building? You know, are there entrances and exits along the sides?
That's like a door
Yeah, like-
fronts. that we spoke about it. I'm not sure we'll do that, because if we need to do that, then we need to probably do some separate bathrooms in each section if everyone gets his private entry, so we're not sure about that. The only option that we can do it is along the sidewalk. If we can maybe do like suites accessing direct to the street on the first
So
on the
they'll all
first
be
floor.
individual suites,
Oh,
Joe?
maps, yeah.
Is that what it
That
is?
was we were thinking, but the concept is to have a hallway in the middle and have multiple office spaces, whatever, as everyone as needed.
And then you'd have just restrooms that accommodate,
Accommodate the common, yeah, correct.
And Joel, the one comment that I think, unless you mentioned it and I missed it, was number 3. We talk about anything over half an acre in the village requires preparation of a full SWIP.
Sure, yeah, we will follow that, yep.
And just, Joel, ignore my comment number 5, it's a carryover from a different memo, I apologize. Just note the landscaping conversation we had with Mr. Weinberg also applies to,
10%.
you,
Sure.
unfortunately.
No, we should be able to meet it now. If we move away from the buffer, if we need to add something in the buffer, we definitely have it.
So I won't go through my individual comments. My only suggestion with the parallel parking spaces is I did not see a sidewalk. Whenever you're parallel parking next to a building, it effectively means your car is out because the driver, and that's gonna be on the driver's side, because it's one way. It means
I
that
got it.
they're opening the door into a brick wall.
Valid point.
Should be seven.
Valid
I-
point. I missed that. No,
So
Okay, there you go.
you may wanna rethink that.
Just zoom in on that. I just wanna see.
she was an engineer in her old life.
No,
What?
I'm married to an engineer.
God help you.
I'm married to an engineer.
There's this Lakeside Pet Lounge there.
How's he on the law?
he's referring in his engineering position about the law.
Yeah.
The best part is we go home and we both talk in acronyms and we don't understand each other's acronyms.
Yeah, that's the problem.
So that's that sliver, yeah.
Right there.
Yeah, there is, I think the building can here. There is a gated area. I don't know what is in there.
You are clearing a lot of the lot. You've got a nice wooded lot and you're clearing a lot of the lot.
And you're looking at wetlands there.
There is not much actually when you go now in the wintertime. You see, like there's a lot of vegetation, but not real trees here. But anyway, we'll do a mitigation plan.
Yeah, same way it goes up by the fence place.
Yeah.
A lot of wetlands there. Be
In the
careful.
back.
A lot
On
of
the whole property is dry. You can walk in it. I walked through the property.
I don't think so. It's
Property?
it's designated wetlands.
On
All
this,
back there.
the whole property.
You
is-
better check it.
I walked with the wetlands expert, and actually I went today again. I was able to walk only till I'm showing the stream here. From there I couldn't walk in, so I will have someone walk that.
And just verify it.
Whatever, it's open, everyone can go see it. It's not like
Right.
any question. Till the stream is definitely dry, 100%. So,
DEC, the bigger DEC one, it doesn't.
only thing is, if that's connected to DC wetlands, I need to stay away 100 feet from the stream.
That's another resource mapper.
Get that determined.
Think about all the water that's
Yeah, I think we had Ted look at this too, so Ted will get back to us on that too. Ted's looking at it as well. If there is something.
This is down in front of that. This is not quite across from the fire department.
That's correct. You're correct.
I mean, well, we'll see what it says.
All he has to do is
Verify, yes,
Yeah,
verify.
look at it.
Yeah.
But like,
Because there's a lot of, I mean, where the queue was, there was a lot of water out there. I know what you're talking about. It's in the vicinity there is, but on this property, I don't think there is. But in the vicinity, there are significant areas.
All right, anything else, Liz or Dave? We're good?
No, I think he'll review
It
the,
looks almost too big for this.
go through and address
Almost
it.
too big for
but it's definitely in the.
100%.
Yep.
I mean, 49 spaces?
I can't see how you can get a car
So that's the check zone, that's.
going each way.
Wetland, approximately.
And then like,
Yeah, I mean, this The barber shop is here in the pit lodge, right?
Right.
Harold's barber shop is there, right?
Yeah.
Is the barber shop on that
It's
property?
close enough.
Yeah.
I think so, yeah. I mean,
It was, it used to be.
Harold used to be there, then he went across the street.
Right.
I'm not sure exactly.
Yes.
There's some animals,
Yeah, it's
maybe
the animal
house.
Right.
What is the actual width of the property line?
The property by itself, I believe it's 110, about 115. The width of the property by itself
The overall dimensions of the property line.
160.
Width
should
and
be,
length.
it should be the length. I will tell you in a minute. This is 3060. It's about 115 is the width. The length I have here is 534.
Right.
584 is the.
584 on one side. The other side is 582. It's actually in the plans. Now I see.
Yep.
The front is 112.5. Yeah.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, 112.5 and
Correct.
then 534.
Again, you will not see a big, small, long backs. We'll be creative with the visual impact from this building. Actually, from the road you can't see it, but again, we'll still break it down in the design part. Once
That'll be when we change
once
hats and
we'll
put
get to
the
that.
ARB hat on and the lanyard.
Right. Once we'll get to that, we'll make it happen. That it should not be. It should be nice, and
Yep,
you should be proud of it. So.
excellent. Perfect. Okay, anything else from the board? No? I think we're good, Joe.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
All right, next up.
Joel.
562 Choco Cheese.
Yeah, I don't see it. I don't know.
Maybe just give us your, just for the record, just right there, just your, your position with it, your name, spell your last name.
Liebe Deutsch, good evening, Liebe Deutsch. On behalf of the applicant, Deutsch is my last name. Liebe, you know how to spell. Unfortunately, Mike is on vacation, so that's why I'm here. I'm sure he will do a better job than me, but what can I do?
Okay. Dave, do you have comments?
No, I think the only thing that was submitted was the
Just the
revised
architectural.
architectural plan.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
And
So-
I have no new prepped comments, other than to repeat the discussion we've had on the other applications. We had briefly discussed landscaping, but looking at the code, because these other projects brought this up,
Yes,
we need to,
and it just came, right. It was a little bit of an oversight on our part, and,
I think anywhere you can sneak a bush or a tree would be helpful.
It's not a problem. We'll take care of that.
yeah,
So I think then the focus of your discussion tonight is on the architecturals.
Right.
They've submitted proposed awnings for you to review.
yes. Now, what I saw, Leva, is the, it looks like you have material awnings you're
I
looking
have
at.
material. What I realized today when I looked on that we have materials. We bought the sheet for the 6 awning that we have. For the middle one, I didn't have the details on the sheet, so I brought copies for everybody to see. I just added to the sheet. If you go to the second page, you see I have all the details of material. That was only for the 6. For the center, I didn't have the details, so I added tonight for the center, so you have the material that we are using for that. So if I can give you a hard copy for everybody to review that, if you need that.
Yeah, we
so-
can take a look at it, but I think what I was gonna say is that,
Thank you.
so not the extra.
Prepared. Already bet. Now you can see there's an awning up here.
Thank you.
No, it's a outcropping, yeah.
Brought some material and exactly.
Right, so what happened to in our last meeting, going back through the minutes before we came here, we were talking about wood going across.
This was not, if you look on the renderings from the first, that was never a discussion for wood, because it's
I
yeah.
could read you the minutes.
So it was probably, I don't know, it was oversight from maybe Mike, was not understanding, but this was never, because we are dealing with designers and architect to go over everything, and it didn't make sense to do a roof when you have a roof at the top. I took a drive today to a lot of stores over there and around, and there's a lot of that have that awning. That's the nicest that you're doing better. If we're not doing a roof on the top, maybe it will be a roof over there, but if we already have a roof on the top over there that we're doing, so I don't think so. We'll have the same nice picture that we have here.
Well, I think Mike would remember the dialogue.
And if you look outside, here you also have the,
Then
not
you
the wood.
also see the status of
Yeah.
those awnings, and
Yes.
they do not last. They deteriorate very quickly.
With this one,
The awnings, a lot of the awnings that we
they
have a lot
have
of
it,
awnings
this is the
in
material
town.
that they have, this is exactly what they're using and what the company provide, what
I'm
they
talking
do.
about the material that goes on the awnings.
The material,
They're not very sturdy. That's all I'm saying. They don't last very long, and they'll look ratty within 5 years.
Less.
that's why they have a warranty on that. The 10-year
I
warranty.
would say Sunbrella is a good product, you know, for sure, but you gotta kind of be on top of it, you're right.
Yeah.
That's why there was a lot of time put in between the designer and the company who's doing it, the material that they're doing it, to make sure that, I'm sure the owner didn't want to put something which is not going to last, so that's why it is.
Yeah, you're definitely in the right direction, I think, for sure. You know, even the top looks nice.
Yeah, everything looks great, except the awning, the material awning I'm not buying. I don't see that as a permanent thing.
So if I could read this to you, Lipa, just for the record, so you know. These are the minutes from the 10/22/24 planning board meeting. Mr. Morganti presented the renderings, and Chairman Boucher stated the awnings look like material. Per Mr. Morganti, they could be wood framed with shingles, and Chairman Boucher and Member Allen both agreed this was preferred. The awnings above all the doors were discussed. The applicant doesn't want the unused doors to be inviting customers. However, per Attorney Cassidy, since they are individual doors and as a commercial space, individual awnings are preferred due to the possibility of the other potential tenants in the future. Member Umberto believed one straight awning was preferable, but Mr. Morganti, Chairman Boucher, Member Allen, all agreed individual awnings would look better. Member Iannucci mentioned that wood shingles are better, would not wear down like fabric awning would. Member Allen suggested joining the center awning with the two directly on either side and having the end doors with the single individual awnings. Member Iannucci asked if the windows would be covered, and Mr. Morganti said that he was unsure. Member Kelly asked about putting something above the upper windows, but it was decided this would crowd the area too much. Mr. Morganti will provide material samples for next meeting. So it was clearly in the understanding as we left here that it would be wood and shingle.
Maybe this was his understanding, but on the rendering that we submitted was never shingles and wood.
It wasn't
was always-
specified.
No, that was the whole discussion. That's why we had that discussion, because it wasn't. And I think, you know, in fact, there was nothing, I don't think there was anything when we were looking at it, right?
There was
Right.
there was a, there was always some kind of a owning type,
Not when you presented last time.
I've never seen one.
We saw it, and we said the building looked too flat, and it needed something there.
This is already an improvement for sure, you know, I mean, like, if we saw this last week, we would have had this lengthy discussion, I don't feel like. I mean, at least you got some depth now to it, you know, but I think the materials, like Jeff was saying, was different, as discussed.
this was when he submitted, the discussion was on that.
She's gonna, I don't know, she's gonna pull it right now.
I don't think I've ever seen that. Did you guys ever see that?
Hold on, let me see.
I don't remember seeing that.
No, this is what we had last time.
That's another building. It's another planning.
I have
board.
the, I have the two alternates.
This
that-
one, this one.
Oh,
That
that,
was the book, that was.
we do have that book. That was why we were questioning what it was made out of.
Right, right,
And
right.
then there was this one.
Right, so then we were gonna combine, so that was what was up there, and that center
Combine the
door.
sign, that's what-
Right, the two on either side, oh, right straight across the center.
And then there was this, I personally thought we liked the straight,
Well,
ones.
This is the one that we.
yeah, this we didn't like at all. So,
The first one.
yes,
The other one was the.
What you have now, what you have
But my
now
taste
is.
doesn't count.
well, no, so this one, the two middle units, we're gonna connect over the
Yes.
door. Right, that was gonna be one.
Right.
And the other two. And that's where we had, so the way you see that, that's what we discussed. And that's where, Mike, we talked about shingles and wood, and he said it could be that, for sure. So,
It was
Unless
always.
he was talking about the top.
no, we talked about the top too. We talked about the top, that it comes over now, kind of like a cantilever, right, comes out. 2 feet, I think he had said it was, roughly, 18 inches, 2 feet, something like that.
If you have shingles over there, it doesn't mind, if this was a design, and then have other roofs with shingles, it will not be a nice building, so.
Why wouldn't it be a nice building?
Because you already have shingles in the top, and if you're doing the same thing and over there.
Uniform.
I like the fabric.
You do or don't?
I like the fabric better than shingles. I do. Shingles they're gonna weather, and they can get blown off when, just as bad as fabric. And this is a
I don't know if
good.
they'd be just as bad as fabric.
Well, yes, I mean, look at shingles, like on the receiver shake houses and things like that, they weather, they get older, they have to be shellacked all the time, or varnished, whatever they put on them, some kind of stuff. I mean, they fall apart just as much as fabric is gonna fall apart, maybe it'll take a little longer.
Shingle will last 20 years.
And then I see they have a warranty for 10 years.
Top and you have the shingle on the middle. This breaks it up, I think this looks great. That's my personal opinion.
Okay, yeah.
You can include as a condition of your approval that the awnings have to be maintained, and failure to maintain the awnings,
Yeah, like we do with landscaping.
would be.
That's fair, because I'm
be-
sure the
would be a
owner wants to
violation
have
of
something nice over there. Why should have something with the new,
It's an enforcement issue for Jim.
or for the new building inspectors?
And, yeah, Jim's not gonna do it.
Your thoughts? The rest of you?
I mean, it's certainly an improvement for sure, right? I mean, if we have something there that does look better. I agree that the shingle would last maybe longer, but I think, what Marilyn said, I think this looks nice. Color, I mean, you can argue that, I suppose, but, I do know Sunbrella is a good product, as long as the installer does a good job with this, But yeah, it does have to be maintained, for sure.
I'm not a big color guy, but those colors go.
I don't know.
The reason for the color is because it's close to the cheese,
Colors.
color of cheese.
That's good.
Yeah.
It's good, breaks it up from the roof line.
Yeah.
Huh?
Breaks it up
There's a
from
lot
the
of
roof line.
designers who are doing
No,
that.
it's very nice. Just has to be solid material.
And we have the details of the material, what we're putting over there.
One of the problems might be, if this starts to go, the material, it would look really bad if it does get tattered.
Well, could that be,
That's a condition of the.
Look at the condition. Yeah.
if there's rips or there's tears that,
Yeah,
Right,
well,
well, look at-
maybe,
Which-
that's,
What is, I understand this
it's a
one.
promise, really.
The black one is the middle one.
Yeah, it's this one or this one. You see, it's
Oh, for here, you mean?
the middle one. Here for the middle black, or
Okay.
that's why I have the details of both of them. This is for the.
Steel New York
This is
City
vehicle for that.
Got
industrial.
got a little spelling issue there, huh?
you put that flat one that,
That's a very-
Liz was talking about? I'm just curious.
The
Just to-
rest one?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was like a flat design. I just wanted to think of it.
First, two 170.
Yeah, what it was, yeah. I think you passed it really quick. I just was curious. Oh, so this would be the cheese color.
You did, yes.
Because what happens when you change the building?
That's the one. That's not the one you wanted. No, the one before this one.
Yeah, the one before or after
So,
that?
Barbara, how do you feel about that? I mean, we could put a condition in, they maintained,
I don't
in
mind.
perpetuity.
I just.
Yeah, I was just curious to see what that.
I think shingles are better. Lighter colored shingles, but shingles all the same.
I just looked up, and it says here, Google says that Umbrella has a estimated lifespan of 10 years. So,
Jim will be happy to hear that. I don't think he plans on being here.
Was this? Was this design here, the flat one, was that shingled? Do you remember?
Was it steel or something, metal?
It was stucco.
Oh, it was just stucco? Yeah,
Only on there was like, under the door, it was like a little bit more.
yeah.
Wanna go back to that?
actually, I think,
Having different opinions, you know, I mean, everyone has their own style, you know, they look, you know,
Understand? It's like,
I'm not happy with the color here. I just think it'll.
Well, this color's definitely different than that color.
Right,
so-
but I think it'll clash with everything else that's there.
Well, how about, would that clash with that?
Yes.
You know, with like.
It's not enough contrast.
This is not the color then. So this is not the color.
No, like, I'm guessing it's that.
So this is not just the material sample, this is the color sample too?
yes.
So that's not that color. You see those as the same?
Looking for a real
That's like almost beige.
That looks the same?
Pretty different.
Lighter green?
The lighter gray might be better because of the color of the facial now.
This is exactly what.
Well, that's, that's,
Send me that. That's that.
I think there's not gonna be enough contrast. I'm sorry.
well,
I
somebody.
mean,
but their
I
lettering, their
mean,
lettering may have.
No, there's not enough contrast if you have a lighter gray for this, I think. Part of the problem with that beige they have there is I think it almost blends. This contrasts more, I think.
Is that the color on your boxes? Is this tan color on your boxes or something too? Like, is this like your logo things here? That's the logo. Do you have this color in the box too or something? I thought that, that would be a cute touch, but no. Okay. And your lettering's not very clear. You may want to go a little hard to see your lettering here. You have the C's and stuff, it's a little difficult to see that. Like your end one, the Choco cheese, very legible.
Because this is the entrance.
Yeah.
Other one's not the entrance.
Well, that's a good idea. Okay.
Like inviting people, this is the place to go.
Yeah, no, that's a good idea.
That's where the entrance is gonna be?
Yes.
That's the storefront retail? Do you have ovens in there now? Ovens in there now?
It's two color.
You're open? I can come in there and buy cheesecake tomorrow?
You need one for Thanksgiving?
I might be there just to go see.
Exactly, no. But it's a family.
You gotta get one before Thanksgiving.
Your building is gray, light and dark gray. Your building is not beige. The building is gray, yes? Not that color.
No, this is not the color.
No, and it's not that color. It's beige, it's gray, light gray, dark.
According to the spec sheet, it is crystal white and Mesa Verde.
No, that's not the color of your building.
What's Mesa Verde?
Let me see.
Yeah.
He had actual material samples last time too.
Southwestern green?
Maybe it will come the old picture.
Maybe it'll come the old picture.
I don't know. I don't know, that's from regular
That was a
green.
nice building. You killed it when you took that roof off.
So, Olivia, I think we need a better rendering. I do.
It fit the way it was. It fit the area better.
It sounds like we're not all opposed, to it, but I think we need a better, to make a decision on the colors, because this isn't even close. This doesn't match what you got on the inside.
I get it, the old one.
That's old one.
That doesn't
That
match
looks
that.
nice.
That doesn't match.
It was a nice building, it was brick. It fit the area.
What prints and what's the, what, I mean,
Oh, yeah, that's totally different.
yeah, that's the old one. What was there anyway? Just zoom in on that, let's take a look, see what they had on the,
Prior to this?
It was a 1970s wonder.
Yeah. It was some kind of,
it was shingled down below, wasn't it?
it was brick, wasn't it?
Well, the building was brick, I'm talking about the actual, like, the awning, whatever, kind of, just, yeah.
Yes.
This computer sucks, by the way. It's always so blurry, isn't it? Is it the internet?
That was the before, that's the current building.
Always horrible, man.
That's an old picture.
Yeah, that's the.
It's the same.
That's when Van Gelder was there, music store.
Gilder and Harriet.
And there's the eyebrow.
Yeah, even when she was trying to show the other.
Looks so nice. It's cheap. They want this.
You know what we would need, I think we need samples of the stucco, like that color, because these colors are kind of crazy to me. I don't know. And this doesn't match this, and this doesn't match the inside, what they sent. Those are different colors.
This is my card.
I agree, at the very least. Frankly, I like shingles better.
Yeah.
Yes and no. That's the fact.
So if we get, let me ask the board a question. If we get, Fred was saying he likes shingles better, Marilyn said she likes this better. What do the rest of you feel like, real quick? Because,
Can't stay forever on this.
what's that? No, exactly. So Joe, are you,
I still think it's shingles, and I still think it's the eyebrow across the whole thing.
I think that ship sailed.
I think that ship sailed too, but I'll go with the, with shingles.
What do you think, Barbara?
I still think shingles would be better, but if I could be given a realistic look as to colors and what this is actually gonna look like, because it's not depicted well, if I can get a good idea of what you're proposing, I could be swayed.
Well,
Yeah, I kind of agree with Barbara. I mean, is there that much more of an expense? Is the reason why we're going this route? Is it looking
The designers with the,
yeah.
everybody
I don't
was
know that
like
there's that much
trying
more
to say that
expense
this
than
is the
you could do
better
with
idea.
shingles in a way.
This is
I don't
not-
think it really isn't. This stuff's not cheap, I know that, the installation, the materials, so it must be more cost effective to do the shingles, but, yeah.
Well, with the shingles, he's not gonna be able to get the logo on there, or the name, the way he's showing it now.
Agreed.
That will be printed on the back.
that's true too.
I can put a condition that whatever material is selected, it has to be maintained.
So I think this, for sure, you know, it sounds like the board could go this way, but we can't without colors that we can see.
So I
This is
think
not-
those two colors, so for next month, and I know we just sort of solution date, but if you get it to us quickly. Colors, and then show us a couple of trees, and then I think we're there.
Yeah, and I
Colors
think,
and a couple of trees.
and if we can get an actual color of the building, like samples,
Even if you send her a picture, an actual good picture, that would get
Of the
see it up there,
exact,
and it's not super pixelated, and then we can see the fabric or something, you know.
and landscaping you want to see on the 17 on the front of the building.
Look, I appreciate you've got a tight site, you do have more parking spots than you need. Doesn't necessarily. No, I know, but you have too many spaces, so you could eliminate a couple of spaces, like, you could put
yeah, it does look
landscaping in
better for
here.
that, for sure. Otherwise you gotta put signs
Because
on the
you can't
building.
have
Then it
parking
could be a
there.
little crowded like that is, that's an old look, but that's,
It doesn't matter,
like none of the signs are uniform.
10% is 10%. It's a code issue.
Oh, no doubt, agreed. You're not getting an argument,
Argument on that.
I understand, it's more of a.
but they're not going back to that.
I know.
Yeah.
At least the top had enough, you know, at least there was the depth to it.
All right,
Yeah,
And actually,
Trees
you
around.
could
by
put
your
signage above
retention
the
pond.
shingles because I'm.
Yep,
They were
they did it
mounted
there.
right on top, right.
They did it there.
were mounted right on top.
Mike
Yeah,
will know.
they were.
Talk to Mike.
Frankly, it'd look a lot smarter. I think.
And they
Back here
can
that's
light it
not
up.
in the right of way, outside of the view line. You can put a nice round bubble here and fill it, because then cars can't come through here.
Cheesecakes in
You can
there.
sneak some stuff in
I believe
there.
they're open.
Not anything expensive.
And they're open,
That's where the curb is set that up.
Board of Health been there yet?
as what?
Board of Health been there yet? Just checking.
I don't know, we should ask you. Yeah, right, that's, interesting. How quickly they install those?
Yeah, there's a flag lot back here. There's a flag lot back here.
I think it does say open.
The only concern here though is your site.
You said you.
Yeah.
Driveway.
I'm not necessarily saying in the front. I'm saying we have a code provision.
If it were.
We've got, it came up because unfortunately for you, we had 3 other applicants come in with the exact same thing, an addition on our existing, and the landscaping came up. So, there are places of sneaking it in.
P.
It's about the area of the.
It's the area.
So Liz, you good there with showing them landscaping and
Yeah,
stuff? will
we've
be-
got it, we
So-
showed him a couple of places he could
Okay.
sneak in something.
So we can hang on to these, and we'll keep at least, the drawing here, but we need a better, because it doesn't,
Have the drawing depict the true colors.
We can keep that color, we need to make, this is.
well, what we want to see is how this looks against the building. So we need the building, yes. Okay. Okay.
And if we have, we'll submit it, is the resolution going to be ready for next month, or how is that?
Resolution's been ready, subject to this issue. It's pretty much typed, so as soon as we have that submission, assuming it's,
And there's only one meeting next month, and it's, yeah, who gets it in?
Yesterday,
Monday.
next year.
Yeah, Monday. Okay,
Thank you.
good, all right.
Have a happy Thanksgiving. Thank
Yes,
you.
thanks, Joe, good night.
Does he know it's Monday the 9th, December 9th? Monday, December 9th.
Is the meeting.
Is the meeting, right. So,
Okay.
okay, good, all right. 3:30, stage. Gentlemen,
Good evening.
all right,
Hello, everyone. David
David?
Matko, Buffalo Bills fan. That was
This
some
year,
game.
this year.
Yeah, absolutely. That was unbelievable last weekend. So,
yeah,
we're here regarding 3:30 stage. I thank Terry and everybody for getting all the material to us yesterday and today. There's a lot of reading material, a lot of comments. So we're here to proceed, whatever is of importance to you, that sticks out. We welcome the opportunity to talk about it. Since there are so many, maybe we could highlight the major ones. Also, before we continue, I just want to ask, with the 239 referrals, did we get any response from DEC and Army Corps?
not on Army
from
Corps,
them, we got it from Orange
but
County.
we got it from two, we got it from.
I got Orange County, yeah. So the 30 days have passed?
No,
When's the 30 days?
like in 2 days,
2 days?
right? When did you send it? So, 5 days. You wouldn't have made it anyway, even if it had gone out, but it was too tight with the meeting date, because we're a day shy of 30 days, so. It went out.
So 5 days?
5 days.
Okay. Okay.
No, I was gonna say, so Dave, you wanna hit your comments?
Sure. Probably gotta go through them all, because I'm not I didn't highlight them to hit the high
Yep.
points, but.
That's fine.
Okay, number one, the land use determination indicates that the proposed automotive repair is permitted in the GB district and subject to a special use permit following 200-51, and that the existing lot area, which is 45,398 square feet, is less than that required for the combined uses, 60,000 square feet. Plan now proposes the consolidation of tax lot 213-1-30 and tax lot 213-1-32.1, which will now meet the required lot area. Consolidation of the lot shall be a condition of any site plan approval. That's actually been like that for a while now. But we keep the comment on that to make sure that we don't forget that it needs to actually be consolidated.
We show as consolidated plan.
Right. Number two, the floodplain and floodway boundaries have been shown on sheets C1, C2, and C3 to identify any disturbance within these areas. Disturbance within the floodplain will be subject to a floodplain development permit to be obtained from the village building department in accordance with chapter 107 of the village code.
We agree.
Number three, project to propose the consolidation tax lots 213-1-30, 213-1-32.1, and 213-1-51 into a single lot. Consolidation of the lot shall be a condition of any site plan approval to be issued by the planning board. I'm not sure why that maybe is different than the first note.
Yeah.
I think,
We agree.
yep. All right. Number four, wetland boundaries have been provided on sheet C1.1, and a note has been provided stating that there are no disturbances to the wetland areas proposed.
We agree.
Number five, a landscaping plan has been provided consisting of 28 boxwood shrubs, 6 white cedar trees, and 6 dogwood trees. Planning board should review the plan for adequacy. Number six, this application requires referral to the Orange County Department of Planning, so we're waiting for the response on that.
Just got it,
Oh, okay,
but just like yesterday.
okay. 7, project is subject to Architectural Review Board review and approval.
We agree.
Number 8, regarding the November 5th, 2024 letter from AMHE Engineering addressing the floodplain mitigation, the following are offered. So these are all technical responses on the floodplain mitigation plan. A, the cross sections indicate that the existing flood elevation is lower than the existing grade of the site. This may be due to a difference in the datum elevations used between the site plan and the FEMA mapping. Cross-section mapping should be revised to address any differences in the datum. B, if the cross-section is taken perpendicularly to the stream, as is the case for section B, the flood elevation should be a single constant elevation instead of dropping 2 feet vertically from one of the side of the cross-section to the other. Revise as needed. C, the top of the flood control barriers is shown to be about a foot lower than the flood elevation. Revise as necessary to demonstrate flood protection will be effective. D, 107-17B, non-residential structures, requires that substantial improvements of non-residential structures shall either 1, have the lowest floor, including basement, elevated above the highest adjacent grade at least as high as 2 feet above the depth number specified in feet on the community's firm, at least 2 feet if no further number is specified. Or 2, together with attendant utility and sanitary facilities, be completely flood-proofed to that level to meet the flood-proofing standard specified in 107-17A2. Design engineer should outline the nature of the building improvements and discuss compliance with this section of the code. E, if the structure is to be flood-proof, the licensed professional engineer or architect shall develop and or review structural design, specifications, and plans for construction. A floodproofing certificate or other certification shall be provided to the local administrator that certifies that design and methods of construction are in accordance with accepted standards of practice of meeting the provisions of section 107-17A2, including the specific elevation in relation to mean sea level to which the structure is to be flood-proofed. F, per 107-15C1, new and replacement electrical equipment, heating, ventilating, air conditioning, plumbing connections, and any other service equipment shall be located at least 2 feet above the base flood elevation to be designed to prevent water from entering and accumulating within components during a flood and to resist hydrostatic and hydrodynamic loads and stresses. Electrical wiring and outlets, switches, junction boxes, and panels shall be elevated to or above the base flood elevation unless they conform to the appropriate provisions of the electrical part of the building code of New York State or the residential code of New York State for location of such items in wet locations. Report and plan should outline and address these requirements.
Oh, yeah, let's just hold there for a minute. We would address that in the architectural phase, building permit phase. I mean, we could put a note. I mean, I agree, you know, that is It's actually not the residential code, but it complies with the building code. So we could put a note on the site plan and then refer to the architectural plans that would be submitted to the building department.
That sounds good.
G, the flood mitigation grading plan and proposed flood mitigation profiles and details plan should be signed and sealed by a New York State licensed professional engineer. H, the source of the various information shown on the flood mitigation and grading plan, in other words, the property survey prepared by others, wetlands, FEMA mapping, etc., should be noted on the plans. I, the proposed floodplain disturbance mitigation area is located downstream of the proposed floodplain disturbance. As such, it would appear that the floodplain elevation at the point along Ramapo Creek where the disturbance is proposed would increase. J, the proposed floodplain disturbance mitigation area is shown with a berm on the downstream side, which actually I think that one should be taken off. That berm has been removed. Comment should be there. 9, the site plan mapping does not depict the proposed flood protection barriers. Revise is needed to coordinate with the flood mitigation grading plan. And 10, the submitted EAF form indicates the presence of potential endangered species habitat, northern long-eared bat. Applicant to provide correspondence with the state. 11, the EAF indicates that the project site contains or is substantially contiguous to a building archaeological site or district which is listed on the National or Historic Register of Historic Places or has been determined by the Commissioner of New York State Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation to be eligible for listing in the National Register of Historic Places. Correspondence from the Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation should be provided by the applicant to identify any such potential resources and impacts.
Okay.
I think it went as part of, I think it went to SHPO as part of 239.
I think it was one of the entities you listed.
Okay.
David, did you get Ted's comments?
Yes.
Excited about that one.
And I have great news.
The auto body shop's going?
What's that?
The auto body shop is going?
Yes.
It is.
Yes, the applicant heard your comments regarding the perhaps reservations regarding the auto body shop there, even though the building was originally designed to house that. So that perhaps may not be a part of our next submission. So I'd like to talk to the board for a few minutes. I know you're not prepared for this, but I'd like to just to entertain this. We might be proposing a daycare center. The building, as you know, actually, it was a different board, but I did Luke and Friends years ago. I think Jeff was on the board, I'm not sure. Successfully did a 3-phase operation there for the daycare center and childcare center that's operated successfully and received child services approval. The owner would like to do the same here. So, as you know, childcare or daycare services are mandated by a certain square foot per child, whether it's pre-kindergarten or kindergarten or first or second grade. It seems like the lower floor of the building might be able to house quite a few, and then the subsequent playground in the back would have to also meet the state standards associated with it. Preliminarily, we have enough room in the back to put a playground that would be able to house the amount of children allowed in the building per the state code. So we're working out that balance. Another aspect of a daycare center is the drop-off. So the parents would be able to drive in, drop off their child under a supervised environment, turn around and leave. We're working on that right now, and we're probably proposing that on the side of the building that's shared with the neighbor, not the side of the building that's shared with 17M. The aisle widths are appropriate there. It allows for a turnaround down towards where we proposed the original parking, and would allow someone to come back out safely and not cross the paths of children in the meantime. So the auto body shop may be not a proposed use anymore, And don't be surprised if we might come back with a daycare center in the proposal. You know,
Would
it's,
make the flood mitigation, or the water barrier issue all the more important, though, I think.
I'm sorry?
I think that would make the water barrier issues all the more important.
Yeah, no, we realize the impacts, associated with it, where the playground would be located, how to protect it from water, and the reason why I'm not 100% in my presentation to you is we're researching the impacts. So I'd like to get those all in line, make sure that, we can put together a project that would meet the requirements and then submit it to you. But the 239 referrals were really helpful because now we have an idea of what Orange County Planning is thinking. We look forward to what DEC is thinking. We definitely got Green Plan's comments, Elizabeth's comments, and I'm pretty sure that we may proceed this way.
Well, if you put a childcare there, you're still gonna have retail on the bottom floor also?
No. It would be the
The
bottom
whole
floor.
bottom floor will be childcare?
Yeah, the state regs are very conservative in the amount of area that's needed per child and how many are supervising that area.
I just
So
wanna make sure there wasn't gonna be traffic driving by the
I
childcare.
can't have cross traffic.
Okay,
Yes.
all right.
So, if the applicant wishes to pursue a change in the proposed use, in accordance with our code, he would need to submit, to Jim for a land use determination. It is a special permit use in the GB district. It appears to be consistent spatially, but it does require, it has specific requirements. I do note the playground requirements and question where that's gonna go in light of the various wet areas and whether the playground constitutes disturbance to the wetland, and because we've got some of those issues. If there is a change, substantial change, which I would call this a substantial change, it will have to be re-referred to all the agencies that we created. 239 will have to go again. So the applicant should just be aware of that. I do want to go through a couple of my comments that would apply regardless of whether this is an auto body or if this is a daycare. One of the comments raised by the Orange County Department of Planning was request for a traffic analysis, given the proximity.
Which page are you on?
I'm on my second page.
Okay.
The 239 review that was returned, I believe it came back in yesterday, did request, as part of its comments, a traffic analysis, and particularly if there is a daycare with incoming traffic with affected children, that will certainly, I would recommend that traffic analysis be provided. Again, it is subject to a special, as a special use, would require a public hearing. Project is subject to architectural review. One thing, this is a comment that's not necessarily relevant right this second, but as we get later into the project, the planning board to evaluate and consider thresholds, because this is a multi-use building, what type of change in use. So if a tenant vacates, what triggers a new amended site plan, or what can be done administratively through the building department, and we should just have that discussion. I do have a note about if the applicant chooses to go with the auto body, they do have to provide a mitigation plan. The note on the map was fairly general, and they need to provide a more detailed mitigation plan. That comment was mirrored by Orange County Department of Planning. With respect to the flood mitigation, engineer to evaluate the adequacy of the proposed mitigation measures. Mitigation measures to be shown on the site plan. I do note if you compare the two plans, it looks like the site plan and MHE plan are different, as the site plan shows a larger parking area. Plans to be made consistent. I question the sustainability of a flood protection measure that requires human intervention to succeed. So what happens when someone fails to install the barriers? There was discussion that these barriers would be installed 7 days before. What happens when it rains unexpectedly? What happens when we are expecting a minor storm and it turns into more than what we're expecting? So the proposed mitigation of the, barriers, requires proper installation each and every time we expect a weather event. So I asked the applicant to address that, and that's regardless of whether there's a daycare or not. So, in light of that, at this point, unless the applicant tells us that they're we can assume lead agency upon 30 days, that would be at our next meeting. But until we have a better understanding of the application and that it's proceeding, we would hold off on scheduling a public hearing and concluding seeker.
Yep. And I think, you know, not that you haven't already, David, but take a look at Ted's stuff too, because some of it relates just to the auto body, which if that's not gonna be there, then that goes away. Sure. But I think for the flooding, if I remember, he mentioned something along the lines there of, a protection of waters permit might be needed. So that's the.
I understand completely.
Good. Any questions? Everybody has? Okay, we'll look forward to the next iteration.
Thank you for at least hearing me out. So we appreciate it. And, you know, we'll just like to confirm the submission date.
For December, for January.
For January.
December 30th, right?
It's not always, because we didn't get to the dates.
We didn't get to it,
Well,
but I
tell you
think
what.
that's what we discussed in the kind of.
So we won't know until a few minutes from now, because we gotta do next year's calendar, but the 30th of December is what it's looking like right now.
I understand. That's the proposed date.
Yes.
Okay, so that we'll use as a goal.
Yeah.
All right. Have a great Thanksgiving, great
You
holiday
too.
season.
Enjoy.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
And that does, well, you know what, that would be, well, new business first, just gotta look at the calendar and approve the calendar. Terry and I kinda went through it. Took a couple of whacks at it. It's a very strange year and how the days fall. So we had a number, I think there's at least 3 or 4 that our submission dates are on Thursday at noon. So that Dave could have enough time, you know, our professionals could have enough time to review. There's a lot of time. Then we've moved a couple of meetings because as it falls, you know, there's like 5 Tuesdays in a month or whatever it might be. And some of our dates fell a week apart, which you don't ever want because you can't get the applicant can't get the stuff together to get the next thing, you know, so. But anyway, if you guys look through it, we can approve it. We have to approve it today. So if you have any changes, you have to.
Well, speak now, forever hold your peace.
Exactly.
Or just not show up.
Or just not show up.
Zoom a little bit.
Yeah, can you zoom? It should be right. Can you zoom? Maybe something here. Should it?
Oh, okay.
Is the calendar in here? Yeah.
Go,
Oh, back? Oh, no, I'm still in them. That's right. Calendar.
Here, can you zoom the trees a little bit, maybe? A little bit, yeah, I know. Clearer.
Here you go, Paul.
I just had a type 2 homework and go get me a traffic study, go get us a traffic study.
Here's the key. So yellow is workshop, regular meeting.
Okay.
That's what I assume. More changes.
Every time it changes.
So there's like 6, half the year we have a Thursday noon submission day.
September, there's only one meeting.
Yeah, September, it would have been, I think there's a Yom Kippur, might
With
be.
Jewish holidays, okay.
Yes. One of the
So there's one meeting in September.
And then one in December, I think.
that would be one meeting in September, we made the special meeting early October.
Right, so early October becomes a special meeting, meaning workshop and, I mean, you can do business at both.
need the key, yeah, I need the key on top.
Yeah, so October is not the first, it's not the second Monday, it's the
Yeah,
first.
it's the first.
And this is just.
And I think that happens over in April maybe as well, yeah, April
Happens in December.
Because it just worked off.
Okay.
and December.
No.
No. There's only one meeting.
I was focused on the land, on the flood.
Yeah.
Okay.
It happens in April and it happens in October.
Yeah, looks good to me too.
So he's good? Yeah. All right, so we need a motion to approve the calendar as presented.
I'll make that motion.
Brian Nucci, second.
I'll second.
Kelly, in favor?
I know.
Approved. And now minutes. Who wasn't here for that meeting? Do you know offhand, Tim? Marilyn wasn't. Everybody else was?
Oh, no, Marilyn
I
forward.
don't think I was here.
Okay. So we just need a motion from the other four of us.
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, member Kelly, second.
The layouts completely
Member
different, so
Umberto?
I'm sure they got a basement for him.
And all in favor?
And I changed it.
Opposed and two
And
abstentions.
he didn't tell them he changed it, and the layers never got it.
So it's four, and Keith is absent.
And also, it's right in the area where he's proposing landscaping, so are you taking up the landscaping, or are you working around the landscaping?
All right, I think,
We had
well,
one-
Joe, don't you want to be here for the vote to adjourn? You want to make the motion?
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Second?
See how much bigger it is?
Okay, Joe, are you good with
Significantly
adjourning?
bigger.
Yeah.
Fred did the second.
And there's like all sorts of stuff here.
Aye.
All right, guys. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Yeah, have a nice
Somewhere
Thanksgiving.
here, but I have no idea relative to where it is. So they are working on it, the plans, that's
Yeah, just not something crazy.
Yeah.